All right. All right. Welcome to the first episode of Break. This is kind of a new concept for a new thing that we're doing. It randomly will be showing up around noon on weekdays to just kind of talk and be there with a chat and go over some events. So, yeah, welcome. Don't really know how this is gonna go yet. It's just me, so you guys get to listen to me, and that is it. Sorry, but it is what it is. Obviously, the thing that we need to talk about today will be the uh, the UFOs, or what people are calling UFOs or drones, right? Calling them UFOs because they are unidentified. They are flying. We know they're drones, but we don't know what they are. Okay. Um, we had a great conversation last night with Mudflood Memes, a guy from Instagram who runs a page, and he dives into a lot of ancient civilizational theories. And the conversation went really really well. The problem with it is that that episode's not due to come out live until February. So by then, all the information that we put out is basically going to be old news. So I wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity to talk about these drones and some of the stuff that's going on. So that's what this is. I've been wanting to do this for quite a while, kind of have a way to be more available to you guys, and answer any questions that you guys might have on some current events. And I thought that this would be perfect. So here it is, episode one of the lunch hour with or the lunch break, sorry. There was a couple names that I was fooling around with. The lunch hour is one of them. I don't know if it's going to be a whole hour. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to talk with the chat, and we're going to go to Google. We're going to find out some stuff that's going on, talk about some of the stuff that I heard this morning, and verify some information that is being put out by others. So we are live on Twitch, twitch.tv/infinite rabbit hole. For those of you that are interested, we're not going to post a schedule for this segment. This is just going to be a kind of whenever it happens kind of thing. Um, I can see it being fairly regular. Um, yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It is what it is. All right. So the first thing that we'll do is we'll go to the chat here where we have a couple people sounding off already. For those who died, mentions who stole the nuke. Uh, yeah. So uh, I don't think you were part of the chat last night. You might have been, but I don't think I remember seeing your name last night. We had talked about this, and I had talked about how Ukraine had uh, 8 nukes go missing a few weeks ago. Uh, Actually, a little over a month ago now. And we talked about I wouldn't say the funny thing, but the coincidence that there's a major port in New Jersey. Obviously, it's opposite of New York City. There has to be a major port in the area around the East Rutherford area. And that's where we're getting a lot of these drones, or at least where they started from. And then from there, we're getting the bubble of drone reports are starting to expand from this area, and we're starting to see little pockets of them pop up across the country and actually across the world. So a couple of the other pockets that are starting to pop up are South Lake Michigan, right by Gary, Indiana, and Chicago, Illinois. We're also getting some down in San Diego. We're getting some in Seattle, Louisiana, the border of Mexico, and in two areas of Florida, Mayport or Jacksonville area, and the Tampa Bay area. So If you know anything about those locations, one thing that they all have in common is that they're major port areas, and it's kind of shocking that we're not talking about this when it comes to mainstream media. I mean, obviously, we know we can't really trust them with anything, but there is something to be said about where all of this is happening. Now, let's look at some of the facts, right? Some of the facts are that whatever these things are that are in the sky, they are following FAA regulations. Now, Jake and I, the creators of the Infinite Rabbit Hole, we met as Navy sailors as part of the aviation community. I was an aviation electrician's mate for 8 years in the Navy. Jake was an avionics technician and a power plant mechanic for I think he served for 14 years. So we're very familiar with FAA regulation. Now, when I talk about FAA regulation, in particular to these drones, I'm talking about the green and red lights. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with these green and red lights, these are called directional flight lights. I'm going to bring up a um, a Google search real quick for you guys to see what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Let me share this with you. For those of you that are listening on Spotify, you guys will be able to watch this immediately and also should be able to watch video of it. Let's see. Hold on. Share screen. Boom. Boom. Okay. So right here. Now on the wingtips, okay, you have red on the port side and you have green on the starboard side. Now, port and starboard is a directional reference from the point of view of the pilot. So the pilot and co-pilot sit up here in the flight station or AKA the cockpit. Then you have a white light back here. A lot of people don't know this, but there's actually a white light in the back of aircraft. A lot of people will see white lights like on this aircraft right here. There will be white lights attached to the front landing gear. This is a tricycle type landing gear. You have the one in the front, two in the back. And there will be a white light on here that they will use seldomly, but there is always a white light in the back. Always. Um, then you have these guys right here. These are called anti-collision lights, aka smack lights. And basically, what they do is they go on and off. They're capacitor. Most of them are capacitor driven, meaning that think of it like a an electronic bucket or an electrical bucket. When the bucket gets full of electricity, it dumps it and it creates a flash. Right, so it's just flash, 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 flash. And fun fact about these, as far as the Navy aircraft, I'm not 100% sure about civilian craft or other military aircraft, but Navy craft, there is a specific rhythm in which these will flash to tell you what aircraft it is that you're looking at, and it'll go down to specifically the type model series. So what I mean by type model series is, for example, I'll bring up the H-60 helicopter. Now, these are helicopters that Jake and I worked on together. We specifically worked on the um, the H-60 Sierras together, and H-60 is basically your Sikorsky plug and play helicopter for literally anything that you need, right? So, you'll see these in a ton of different configurations. You'll see extra fuel tanks, you'll see probes, you'll see gunners in the windows, you'll see them suited up for rescue. I mean, there's a multitude of what these things can do. And when I was in Pax River at a command called VX1 or Air Test and Evaluation Squadron 1, we actually tested a lot of the plug and play systems on these. And usually you'll see like on this guy right here, I don't think that's it. This is a Black Hawk. This one's specific to the Army. In the Navy, they call them Seahawks. So let me see if I can bring up a H-60 Sierra for you guys. Yeah. Okay. So here's your FLIR right here. This is your forward-looking infrared. You can see this one also. Actually, I want to say this is a Romeo. This is not a Sierra. Romeos are they're I want to say the cabin's a tiny bit smaller, but you can tell by the double wheel back here. Where the Sierra, and this is also a little bit closer forward. Now, this one is outfitted to be able to land on smaller ships, littoral combat ships, those kind of things. Whereas the Sierra, even though this has Romeo and Sierra listed right here, this is a Sierra. This is one of the aircraft that I did work on. They have their reverse tricycle landing gear is set way farther back, as you can see right here. Okay, now the the reason why I bring this up is that even on these guys, you're seeing right on these little studs right here. Man, I wish I can have a better picture for you. Oh, here we go. This is a good one. So you see this right here? Bam. That is your red light. Guess what's on the other side? Want to take a guess? That's right, green light. um, so uh, these drones are flying legally. Okay. So the thing about the FAA is that it, other countries will recognize FAA regulations, or they'll adopt FAA regulations for their own goods, and then their own entities will basically build their rules around their laws and their rules around the FAA regulations, making it a sort of standard worldwide. Um, these drones are following that standard. They have the directional flights, or the directional lights. Let me bring up some drone photos from Jersey real quick, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let me share here. Share. Now, of course, just doing Google. So here's one right here. You have your green and your red. Um, let's see. A lot of these are just stock photos. This is the cool stuff that's been happening too, right here. People have been reporting these orb like uh, drones as well, or what they're calling drones. There's even been reports of there being two separate entities up there, one being the mechanical drone and one being the orb or ball of light. And there is a video out of Phoenix, Arizona, where a drone approaches one of these balls of lights and gets shot out of the air. I wonder if I can share that with you guys. Oh, I had to put votes. There we go. See, it's a simple spelling mistake from a dumbass. So a lot of these are having your green and red. So they are following a regulation. As for drones, I'm not 100% sure if they need a smack light or AKA the anti-collision light. Um, but the simple fact that these things are following laws is interesting. Uh, Basically, from that alone, I believe that we can faithfully cut out the possibility of it being extraterrestrial. And I know a lot of people come to the infinite rabbit hole for all the good extraterrestrial stuff that we do cover, but that's just not the case here. This is man-made, and even if it was, just talking about left field concepts here, even if it was an undiscovered uh, advanced civilization coming out of the ocean, as has been a big topic lately, they're not going to follow FAA regulations. It's just not going to happen. Okay, so this is a human um, phenomenon that's going on right now. This is this is us. I don't know how else to say it. So who is it now? The two big categories of who it could be is either the US or anybody else, right? And I think that you can narrow it down to it being the US. Um, this is where uncertainty kind of comes in. There's a lot of unknowns when it comes to this entire subject. So, take it with a grain of salt, but the the gist is we're not shooting these things down, okay? We're we're letting them fly around in secure airspaces, uh, and we're actually even being arrested or confronted by law enforcement for watching too closely, for sending drones up to see what they are. For there's even been a couple reports of people taking shots at them. Now the shooting down thing, there is something, I don't have the exact information for you off the top of my, fingertips here on Google, but I can try to bring it up. There is something in the Bill of Rights, um, where you can't use the federal military or the military against citizens of the United States. Um, and I think that there's, if it is citizens, I don't think that the military is gonna be really worried about the Bill of Rights. I mean, there's been so many, strikes against our freedoms and our protections when it comes to the Bill of Rights by the government, especially in recent days, that I just don't see that being a barrier for them. So I don't think it's civilian. I'm pretty comfortable in saying that it's not civilian, because I do believe that that would be taken down pretty rapidly. And you have a lot of the mainstream media saying that, well, it's because of this Bill of Rights. Uh, I don't know if it's an amendment. No military against citizens. Sorry, guys. This the format of this new here it is. The format of this new segment is going to be a little weird, right? So I'm going to be doing some of this research as I'm talking to you guys, but I'll bring this up here. This is Wikipedia, the most safest place to get all of your information. Um, oh, hi. You want to say hi to everybody? Huh? You want to say hi? Come here. For those of you guys that don't know me, this is my cat. His name is Dash. He's amazing and he loves me. Huh. He's actually usually by my feet during recording, and you guys just don't know because I'm trying to be all protective and stuff, or not protective, professional. So, Posse Comitatus Act. The Posse Comitatus Act is a United States federal law, original 20, signed on June, blah, 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 that limits the powers of the federal government and the use of federal military personnel to enforce domestic policies within the United States. Congress passed the act as an amendment to an Army appropriation bill following the end of Reconstruction and updated in 1956, blah, 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 blah. Basically, the gist of this is that we can't use the military to shoot down the drones. And there's a couple theories out there that this is this is a push for a federalized police force. And I think that this is something that we need to take into consideration. Um, we're going to get a little bit on the conspiratorial side of things here. And I know I'm kind of all over the place, but that's because I have so many things going through my mind right now that I'm trying to get out in a reasonable amount of time, because I want to, the whole concept of this new segment is to keep it short. Tina's from YouTube. Hi. I see you there. Thanks for stopping in. Gonna visit the chat here for a second while I'm bringing something else up for you. Um, um, Trying to bring up a quote. Kid made it. Yes, fat cat. I do have a fat cat. He's my best buddy in the entire world. His name's Dash. I love him. Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a cat guy, but I'm a Dash guy. I love my cat. Like that dude is freaking awesome. Um, let's see here. trying to. Mm, Tina's over in YouTube. Let me see if I can pin that. This is a good question. This is something that we there we go. That should show up on stream. I heard something about them being LMs, a military drone, loitering munitions drone. So here's the thing, okay? Now we went over this a little bit. I'm sidetracking here again. We went over this last night. Now, um, Jake and I, when we were in the Navy, we also worked on together. Well, we didn't actually work on them, but we worked on or worked in a command that let me share this with you guys. We worked on a command that also housed these guys. These are your Northrop Grumman MQ-8 Bravos, all AKA the Fire Scout. So now there is a new Charlie version out now, which is a bit bigger, and they look like, they look more like the H-60 helicopters that I previously showed during this segment. But these are completely unmanned, and yes, they do follow FAA regulation, by having your directional lighting, but the thing is that I'm very familiar with the sound of these things. I'm very familiar with them, period. Okay, I was around them for years. This is not what's being seen. Okay, so this actually right here is a Charlie. Let me change this to MQ-8 Charlie here real quick. There we go. As you can see, they take on quite a bit of a different shape there. They actually got a lot bigger, this person next to it. Very familiar with the size, the movements of these things, the sounds of these things. This is not what you're seeing over Jersey. Now, people are saying, uh, there are some policemen that are saying that they have witnessed these things coming from the ocean. Now, we did used to, deploy, and we would go on I wanna say it's the LCS, anyways, I know it was the USS Detroit, right? Pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. Here you go. Let me share this one with you. So, this here is what we would deploy on when we took out these Fire Scout drones. Now, these are fairly new, right? LCS-7, USS Detroit. For those of you that don't know what LCS is, it is, Littoral Combat Ship, I believe. Let's see. Yeah, Littoral Combat Ship. Um, and these were the way that we would, deploy these Fire Scouts, either, on the back here that you see right here, okay? Either right here on the back, which would also, accompany an H-60 with it. So it would be 1 and 1 typically, or 2 and 1, 2 Fire Scouts to 1 H-60. Um, but the thing is, we don't have enough of these Fire Scouts or LCS ships, to put that many of these drones in the air, even if we did have them. We just don't have it. They would have to come from the ground. Um, and if it came from the ground, it would be much easier to be able to identify where these things are coming from. So, try to connect a few dots here for you guys. One, this all started, let me stop sharing here. This all started, um, October 12th, I believe it was. I should try to get you guys a nice timeline here. Um, October 12th, Langley Air Force Base started reporting seeing drones over the, airspace. Now, if anybody knows anything about Langley, this is, your, your depot, if you will, of top secret aircraft or spy aircraft, for the what's called the DMV area. Um, Let me see if I can bring up a map. So there's 3 bases within a particular area of each other, and they're all part of the DMV, which is the Delaware, Maryland, Virginia area. And, let's see, Langley, Norfolk or Norfolk, and Oceana is the other one. If we can bring this up. Okay, here we go. This will do. This will do just fine. Um, Screen share. Bam, bam. Let me see if I can. Mhm. Okay, let's let's stop, and then we'll screen share this one because then we can see it a little bit better. So here is the DMV area. Okay. Now, right here, you have Langley Air Force Base. Okay. And the, which is what's up, buddy? You want to come say hi to everybody again? Come on. Come here. All right. And then you have Naval Station Norfolk, which is actually, and then you have now Langley has a you could say a plethora, right? A plethora of top secret squirrel stuff going on there. There's even CIA headquarters nearby. And then Navy or the Naval Station Norfolk is the largest naval base in the entire world. No matter what country you're talking about, this is the largest naval base in the entire world, and it is stock full of ships, subs. I wouldn't say subs too much, but they are there, and aircraft squadrons. And the squadrons that are there range from anywhere between the E-2 Hawkeyes, the C-2 Greyhounds, the H-60 Sierras, the MH-53 Sea Dragons. Geez, there's quite a bit there, guys. Um, and then everything else that's basically not at Norfolk outside of the P3, P8 community, you have in Oceana, which is where your fighter squadrons are. Um, your fi- you got your I can't remember if it's the Prowler or Growlers, which are the new ones, but I think those are the only technical combat craft that are strictly West Coast that are not in Oceana. Um, so there is a lot of possibilities here for places where these things could be coming from. I don't think that they're coming from anywhere outside of Langley. And this is again where I'm just going to get into my own thoughts and hypotheses here. The the report started at Langley, okay? And people on Langley did not know where they were coming from. Now, there's been a lot of talks about these things possibly being, um, just a test or some kinda exercise by the military, and I don't think that that's true. I'm very reluctant to say that that's what's going on here. I really don't think that that's the case. The reason why is because when we test things, and trust me, I was part of Air Testing and Evaluation Squadron 1, and we also would take miniature detachments when I was part of HSC 22 in Norfolk, Virginia, on the H-60s, where we would go to a little island off the coast of Virginia, and we would do our tests and stuff there. And then we would also fly down to Autech down in the Bahamas to do our tests there. So the Navy or the military is very good at making sure that they do their tests in remote locations, especially if it's the case of something as big as this. They're not going to do it just over anything. So my my theory is that there has been a major breach of homeland defense, meaning if you take that little bit I talked about earlier about how there was 8 nuclear warheads stolen, supposedly stolen, I'm not gonna say for fact, but supposedly stolen or missing from Ukraine, um, that could be potentially where they're or why they're here, why they're looking around. Now, why would they be in the areas that we highlighted earlier, where the shipyards are? Well, could be potential that they came in through the shipyards. Now, if you look, right, a lot of people are saying, "Well, no, that can't be it because they would be able to find that. That would be stupid." Well, I mean, obviously, we don't have the most secure shipping yards. We have issues with human trafficking all the time, and this this slips through us a lot. Um, so to think that they could not sneak a nuke onto the home guard, I think is, uh, is silly. I think you have to look at this, openly, and it's one of those scenarios where you hope for the you hope for the best, but you prep for the worst. I hate to say that because I really don't want that to be the reality, um, but I think, and I'm not trying to scare people or anything, but I definitely think that this is something that people need to pay attention to. I think that the order of events happened sort of like this. The Homeland Security or Department of Defense came across a viable threat or some sort of valued intelligence that said that there was something here or coming to the United States. Now, in order to test this or to test out a a uh, a protocol that they have not done before, they needed to test their technologies, and that's what you saw over Langley Air Force Base, um, a little over a month ago now, and that happened, I believe, for 12 days straight. So they tested it, and then once the intelligence got stronger that there is in fact something here or that it was on its way here, then you started seeing it move outwards towards the ports, right? And where did it start first? It started in Jersey. And then it slowly crept out from there into other surrounding states, um, in the Northeast. Now, why Jersey? Why did it start off at Jersey? One, that would be the closest, biggest port for the Department of Defense or Homeland Security to investigate because it's right next to where these secretive drones were in Langley. And if if a terrorist is going or a terrorist organization is going to target somewhere, New York City makes sense. I hate to say it, but I mean, if you ever been to New Jersey, especially northern New Jersey, like East Rutherford area, which I've been to go see Giants games, you can look right across the water and see New York. New York City's right there. Skyline is huge, it's beautiful, um, and it wouldn't be too difficult for them to smuggle something that they've already gotten on land over to New York. Now you look at some of the other bigger areas or some of the other areas where this is all popping up, right? Like I said, the southern Lake Michigan, off of Chicago, right across from Chicago is the port and industry city of Gary, Indiana. Um, I don't know if you guys have ever been to Gary, Indiana, uh, but some people will say that this is the most beautiful place on earth. That's a joke, by the way. Um, let's see here. Let me share. Um, Gary, Indiana. Let's see if we can look at the ports. Massive, massive ports here in Gary, Indiana, and this is, like I said, basically directly across from Chicago. Um, Look at this. I mean, it is a big system here. So, one, you're targeting um, New York City. This looks like it could potentially target Chicago, maybe even throwing in some other areas close by like Detroit, Minneapolis. Then we're starting to see some of these drones pop up in areas like Chicago or San Diego, right? And there's numerous big cities down there. Los Angeles is nearby. San Diego itself is big. Then you have Sacramento, San Francisco, a ton of different targets that it could potentially that could be potentially attacked down there, and then Seattle. Um, so uh, Here I actually want to. Sorry guys, I'm trying to get through this so I can get back to the chat. Lysol, I see that you've been a lot of people have been mentioning some good facts here, like Lysol. If I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize. There is no way 8 nukes just got stolen, and I agree. I don't think that they did get stolen. I think that there's something really shitty going on. Um, and I'm trying to be as politically correct as I can with a lot of this stuff, so I don't want to create Zos. Okay. Um, I don't I don't wanna create fear, but I do wanna create a sense of acknowledgement, and awareness. That's what I wanna do. Um, I think that there's 1 or 2 big possibilities here. One, that we are legitimately, under some sort of homeland security threat. There could be something very dangerous here, um, at home, or this could be a ploy by the U.S. government to try to take a little bit more of our freedoms and security away from us. Um, uh, Whatever that they create these events to add things to bills to make it viable. And I was trying to look it up before I got sidetracked. Let me see if I can look it up again. Um, if you remember, there was back when Obama first took office, um, he had made mention uh, about the possibility of creating a national police and security force. Here we go. Okay, this is actually from 2022, but here we go. I'll bring this up for you. Now, right here, Obama's National Police and Security Force. Okay. Now, a lot of people don't like this. This here gives the federal government a way to use military like offenses against civilians. And the reason why we don't have a federal police force is because we want to keep that capability away from the federal government. Okay. That is not something that, you know, due to the Constitution and, people who believe in the strength of the Constitution and what it stands for do not want a federal police force. Um, you get a lot of issues with tyranny, um, and the government already likes to abuse what they have. So there's a whisper going around, and I've only heard a few sources come up with this, saying that this could be their way of creating this federal police force. How could they do that? Okay, so they create this false flag, if you will, right? Where there's these mysterious drones flying around the sky that the federal government can't use the military to shoot down. They can't give that power to the local police force because the federal government does not like giving power to state and local law enforcement. In fact, we've seen a lot of that stuff get taken away as of recently. So, how do they get around the Bill of Rights um, and create a tool for them to use in situations such as honestly, this is what a lot of people were talking about when it came to January 6th. Why they believe that why January 6th was a staged event, because this was supposed to empower the idea that we needed a federal police force so that we could use federal power against citizens. So the um the military can't shoot these things down. Civilians can't shoot these things down. This is the perfect opportunity for Congress, the federal government, to create an entity that can shoot them down, and at the same time, give them additional power to do things like federal or create a federal law enforcement agency. Um, I I'm trying not to go too much longer because I was hoping to keep this at 30 minutes, guys. And we already kind of went over that, so I don't really want to get into the whole thing about issues with federal law enforcement. I mean, you guys can use your imagination on how bad that would be, but I think that this is something that could potentially be the answer to what we're seeing when it comes to these drones. This could be a piece of theater that's being put on by the US government in order to pass something that they direly want. Now, uh, the other option is that there is a weapon of mass destruction here on the homeland. I think those are your two. Um, you've seen a lot of people reporting that these are just civilian craft. A lot of people saying that most of them are manned aircraft that people are wrongfully reporting or misidentifying. I'm sure there's a few of those, but I think everyone's been around this planet long enough now to where they can look up and be like, "Yeah, okay, that's a plane," right? You would think that that would be a pretty easy thing to identify for most of this country. Um, so if they see a something in the sky hovering over their house at 50 feet, if you turn around and tell them that, "No, that's a manned aircraft going to LaGuardia," or, whatever, uh, that's calling them stupid, and, there are some really stupid people out there, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that that's the case. I don't think that this is aliens. I don't think that this is a foreign entity. Because again, if this was, as some of the, senators were talking about, an Iraqi or Iranian, mothership off the Atlantic coast, we would have shot this down, okay? I uh, Without question, I believe that this would have been shot down almost immediately, um, and there would have been really no regards to anything. We would have shot it down. But then again, there was that thing at about a year ago now, the Chinese spy balloon that literally floated over US airspace for about a week before it got shot down. So, I don't know, but then again, we were only told it was a Chinese spy balloon. What could it have actually been? We don't know. This could have been another thing that the government, you know, did. There's a lot of really weird things going on right now. And my I do have off tomorrow. Um, but we are releasing a new episode, the Dyatlov Pass Part 2. But I am off Friday. And I'm not going to do this every day that I'm off. But if you guys want to send questions that I can answer specifically about what we talked about today, I don't mind jumping on here at noon again on Friday to to do some BSing and stuff. I'm gonna give you guys about 5 minutes to post questions in the chat. I'm gonna go through the chat because I've been doing a really shitty job at staying up with this. There's tons of chats here, so I'm gonna go straight up to the top and try to answer what I can coming down. And by the time I get down to the bottom, we're gonna call it for the day. Um, I'm going to immediately upload this to Spotify and get it distributed out into the world of podcasts for immediate enjoyment. For those of you guys that came here live for the very first ever lunch break presented by Infinite Rabbit Hole, I just want to say thank you very much. And with how much uh, how many people we got involved today in the chat. I really do appreciate this. I feel like this is a good idea, and I'm looking forward to more of them. So let's see. Showing up more often. Let's see. Man, I wish I knew what I was talking about when you guys sent this stuff. CJ, No Beard the Pirate said, "What Jeremy streaming at a reasonable hour." Go fuck yourself, CJ. Thank you. Uh, I I love CJ. Don't I just love them. Lately, I've been seeing almost every aircraft flying with landing lights on, even when there is no airport in the area. That comes from Skeeter. Um, Skeeter said, "Hey Dash." CJ said, "Fat Cat." Tina's from YouTube says, "Hi." Kenzar said she made it. Hey kid. Then she says it's probably gonna have to leave soon. We talked about Tina's comment about them being LMs. CJ, why aren't civilians building battle drones and attacking these things with melee weapons? Because they're getting arrested for flying their drones anywhere near them, which is, you know, I don't know, man. I think this just smells like an operation from the U.S. government. And one thing you guys got to understand about the U.S. government is that there's entities within the U.S. government that have no idea what the other entities are doing, or that even some of the other entities even exist. So this could be an entity, part of the deep government that's doing this, an additional layer behind the whole, homeland security uh, that's only used in dire situations, such as there's a nuclear bomb on the homeland. I think that there's some pretty good evidence to say that that there is something dangerous here in the United States right now. Um, mm, Skeeter, yeah, they can't get too close to them. FAA law says you can't attack them. That's true. Because shooting at one of these drones is just like it literally carries the same weight um, in the justice system as shooting at a passenger airplane. Um, let's see. What's your thoughts about other countries dropping these drones from great heights? Okay. Well, I kind of covered that a little bit. They are using some kind of lidar. Yeah, I don't doubt it. Um, uh, Zos, probably some convoluted scheme to detonate a nuke on American soil and not be held responsible. I would hope it's not our own military or our own government that has that plan to light off a nuke on American soil. That would be absolutely awful. Um, do I put it past them? Sadly, I don't. Uh, but I don't want to even think of that as a possibility because that is just, yeah, that doesn't sit well with me very well. Cryptic Cowboy from YouTube says, "Good afternoon from Canada." Good afternoon, Cryptic. Appreciate you stopping in. Um, oh, and then Cryptic Cowboy also said sniffing for something. That is definitely something. So we do have nuclear sniffing capabilities that we can attach to these drones, and that is something that I do think that we are doing. I truly do believe that we are sniffing out something. Um, Skeeter, they don't need any more power to abuse. That's true. False fear among people. They offer a solution that they say they can help the population. Yes, exactly what I was talking about when with that national or federal police. Um, Time will tell. Yes. Zos, unless they're carrying nukes. But then don't they got EMP guns? We do. I'm not sure if we have guns that blast an EMP. That'd be terrifying, honestly. That'd be great for national defense, or especially forward deployed. Um, but I don't know if that exists. Yeah, because I think there is a majority of our government officials in bed with China. I do agree with that. Um, that's why the balloon stayed on so long. Correct. Uh, mm, let's see. Let me Cryptic. Good afternoon from Canada. I know we just talked, but there is Deep Gov and Deep State. Yes, there is. I do think that they come together at some point, though, where you have portions of each doing their own thing, or coming together. Like the heads coming together and doing something. All right, cool. Um, the Deep Gov is good. Deep State is bad. Okay, I see where you went with that. You went the opposite way that I was talking about. So talking about a pocket of the government that actually does want to help out. I like to think that that exists. I don't know if it does, unfortunately, but I like to think it does. All right. Well, that has been a long first episode of the lunch break with Infinite Rabbit Hole. I just want to say thank you to everyone who showed up in the live chat. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much. Um, Again, if you have questions and you would like for me to do this again on Friday, let me know. Shoot me an email at infiniterabbithole@gmail.com. You can stop by any of our socials, shoot me an email or a message on any of the socials. You can send, I believe you can send messages right here on Twitch, if I'm not wrong. I think we can. Sorry, I don't know too much about it. Uh, YouTube, hit us up. Let us know if I get some questions, or if anything new pops up. I'll definitely come back on Friday. But until then, tomorrow we have The Outlive Pass Part 2 dropping. Hope you guys enjoy that series. I put a ton of work into it. Um, and hopefully I was able to provide some sort of clarification in this sea of absolute disaster that's coming out from sources that seem to be coming from everywhere. And I know I didn't really answer any questions because there really isn't any answers to give. We can just hypothesize, and that's what we did today. And my two honest opinions are that this is either an event that is being put on by the government um, in order to create a new law enforcement agency, or this is a serious national defense issue, and that we have something here on the homeland that can really spell disaster for us, especially when you think of some of the big events that are coming up. We have Christmas, we have New Year's Day in New York City at the ball drop. We have uh, President Trump taking office on January 20th, and the ceremony and speech that goes along with that. So I think we're in for a pretty long month here, everybody. And just want to say, I hope everyone stays safe. And thank you again for checking out the very first um, lunch break with with Infinite Rabbit Hole. All right, guys, take it easy.